morning to my class. Hope you can hear me okay. This is just a recap of last night's class for those who weren't there or as a visual refresher. We're just going to go over a couple of the steps that we did last night and extend them a little bit. Remember that dog training is about getting a behavior, then naming the behavior, then extending the range of the behavior. Oh, speaking of range. Down. So you can see he broke his stay because it was just a little too much distraction, which just happens to be a little food in my hand. But once he's down, then he gets a reward. Okay, wait. Luna, come. Luna. Good dog. So, we're going to go back over the lure for the sit. Yep, that's our notes. They're not edible. So the lure is just over the top. Yes. And then you feed. And then step away. Okay. Then you add the cue. Luna, sit. Yes. Step away. Now we also moved on to the sit stay, which is not using a cue, remember, because we want the dog to sit for as long as necessary until we give them another command. Some people also went into using the cue. I know as humans it's very hard not to give the cue. So for this you get 3 or 4 treats in your hand at once. These are kind of chewy ones, so they're not so good. And you give them one after the other so the dog stays seated, and you can extend the intervals in between the treats and start to move a little bit, because eventually you want to be able to give the dog a sit command and then walk around and do something else. Maybe tie your shoe. Okay, so that's extending it. Luna, sit. Yes. 1, 1,000, 2, 1,000, 3, 1,000. So just a little bit. If your dog breaks, you've done too much. Dog has not done too much, you've done too much. I'm counting in my head, we're up to about 12 seconds. That's about her max. Okay. Oh, yes, and okay was for you too. Right at general okay, they both break. Okay, on your mat. So the next thing is Zen hand. You guys all have this pretty well. Down. Kaya. Okay. So we know that we start with the closed hand, and we wait till they move away. We move to the open hand, wait till they move away. We then use the open hand at different levels, like down low. Yes. Now that, at that point, we can add the cue and say, leave it. Yes. You're both doing it. That leads us to the capacity to put it down. Leave it. Leave it. They know the game pretty well. Now, if your dog is going to jump on it, then you put it right next to your foot and put your foot down on it if they go for it, okay? The next step after that is to throw it and say leave it, like that, because dogs chase moving things, but that is the next step. Now, all of those things are true for down also, and the next step in generalization is to go to just the verbal command and also what's called proof the command. Kai, come. Luna, wait. By turning your back, Kai, sit. Okay, Kai wasn't able to read any body language in that. Or, you know, most dogs have no idea what to do when you're lying down. Down. So they, you know, we do this a lot actually, so they respond to it pretty well. But some dogs will just jump on you, and they need to learn how to obey your cues, which remember is still a general, you know, we're going into it slowly. Each little step they get correctly reinforces their mind. Look, Kaya, on your mat. What's next? I have my cheat sheet here. And we continue to work on the name game. Very important for the puppies. Remember again, don't repeat commands. If you find you have to repeat something, that means they didn't learn it at the step before. So go back to the step before. In a sense, there's no failure in this game. There's just, oops, I went too fast. Move back. So the name game, you wait till they're looking away, which is sometimes hard. What's that? Luna? Yes. So as soon as they look at your, look up at you or look toward you, with puppies, even if they flick an ear, you reward that, okay? Because the next time they'll be more likely to make a turn. You don't need them to like turn and gaze into your eyes right away. That's too big a step. So if they won't do something, you make the step smaller. Okay? Yes. Now, what happens if they don't? Either the distraction's way too much and you need to go to a quieter space, or you just give them a little reward. You give them a little tickle, like that. Yes. And then they'll look toward you. We began loose leash walking, which has to do. Luna, come. Which has to do with, imagine she's on a leash, rewarding them right next to you, straight down your body, so that they get used to this being a great spot to be. Usually we train the dogs with them in front of us, and one of the next things we'll learn is called the swing, maybe in the intermediate class. Doing the swing, where they come right up into heel position, but the beginning of that is you reward this as a really nice place to be, and they get used to that being terrific. And then we'll move into, in the next class, we'll move into loose leash walking drills. We did one last night, but I think it was actually a little bit too advanced. So, but you can do this inside by having a treat in your hand, having them on a leash inside, and walking along. Yep. Imagine there's a leash here, and they'll follow you, and then you reward them. Right? That's the beginning of loose leash walking, is practicing inside. Okay, that's our lesson for this week. If there's questions, please email me. Let's talk about it, over email if people have questions. Thank you.